Welcome again to part 4, still paper 1, KCSE English. And in this particular part, we're also going to look at a different variety than the ones that we've seen previously. But of course, they're going to have the same formats. This exam settings, and also the prompts or the questions are going to be of the same category. For us, like in this example here, what we have is the part 1. You are the chairperson of the environmental club, which has just been newly introduced in your school. There is going to be an official launching of the club. Write a brief speech that you will deliver at the launch. Your speech will include the following: introduction, club officials, the objectives or the aims of the club, the activities to be carried out, conditions for membership, enrollment, and any other relevant information. Okay, good. Well, good students, you're not going to do that part. Literally, you know the formats of a speech. And because you're giving a speech and it's going to be a newly introduced club, and they're going to be a launching of the club, then and again, given those particular area of concern, like the introduction, the club officials and objectives, aims of the club, activities to be carried out, and of course conditions for the members, enrollment, and any other relevant information, I would suggest that it should be more engaging. So therefore, language to engage is called upon, and also is going to also address an immediate audience, which means that you are going to literally acknowledge members present for your speech to be effective. So the areas that they'll be looking for here. Straight into the next question, that's question number 2. Read the passage below and fill in each blank space with an appropriate word. As usual, this is what I recommend. Read as though all those particular blank spaces are filled or they are complete. And by doing so, you'll get a glimpse or a picture of 1, the tense used, and 2, if there are 2 tenses that have been used. And of course, in any kind of an extract, there is always going to be present and past, where the writers are shifting to the past and also shifting to the present. They'll give you an idea of which words exactly to use. Pay attention to the choice of words. Pay attention to the address, whether it is done in the first person perspective, second person perspective, and third person perspective. And by getting a clear perspective of a text, you also know how, you'll also be equipped with the ready words to patch on those particular blank. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go through that, and if you want to pause within so that you exclude those particular answers, then do it as I've told you. You'll see how effective it is. All right. I met Frank as soon as he was discharged from the hospital. He felt fortunate to be alive, or lucky. His seatbelt had kept him from going through the windscreen, and he had only a swollen cheek and some double vision to indicate he had had a nearly fatal crash. In the weeks that followed, however, I began to notice strange after effects. Frank forgot to return phone calls. One afternoon, while writing out payroll checks for his staff, he repeatedly asked me the date. I watched as his pen froze over the yellow checkbook. He would then flip the pages to check the spelling of a colleague's name. At the piano, he played the same note over and over again, seemingly unable to proceed to the next. It would be months before any of us were willing to accept the painful reality or truth that his music career was over. You realize, good students, that there is a perspective, first person perspective, that is also mixed with the third person perspective, whereby the person here talks of his friend who had most likely lost his memory, and also the tense. Question 3. Read the poem below and then answer the questions that follow. Read the poem below and then answer the questions that follow. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I, all alone, beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate, wishing me like to one more rich in hope, featured like him like him with friends possessed, desiring this man's art and that man's scope. With what I most enjoy, contented list. Yet in these thoughts myself almost despising. Happily, I think on thee, and then my state, like to the lark at the break of day arising, from sullen earth sings hymns at heaven's gate. For thy sweet love remembered such wealth brings, that then I scorn to change my state with kings. This is from William Shakespeare's Sonnet 29. Exam style question. Oh, good students might as well as want to pause through or go through those lines again in diligence and also with engagement of a certain level. But with me here, that engagement is not because I'm rushing against time, and of course we need really to go through this. So I would recommend you pause within the video, go through the poem again once more, and familiarize with the wordings and the use of phrases there. So identify any 4 pairs of words that rhyme in this poem. The most obvious question and most likely. Eyes, cries, state, fate, hope, scope, despising, arising, state, and also gate, brings, and kings. Give 2 instances of alliteration in this poem. Me, more, thee, than, with, what, myself and my, hymns and heavens, sullen, signs, sweat, such, scorn, state, like, and lack. How would you say the words in brackets in this poem? I would lower my voice and say them at a lower pitch, almost a whisper with an appropriate gesture of a knowing facial expression. Those words that were in brackets, the words that went like this, like to the lark at the break of day arising. Then, how would you perform the last 2 lines of this poem? The last 2 lines conclude the argument of the poem. Therefore, to be read at a higher pitch, with more emphasis, more confidence, more slowly and more deliberately, perhaps with a knowing smile. Read the passage below and then answer the questions that follow. It's a cold, misty December morning. You hear the sharp screeching of brakes followed by a loud bang, then screams. You rush to the scene of the crash, where you find a car overturned with a young woman and 2 small boys inside. The woman and one of the boys climb from the wreckage unhurt, but the other boy is pinned between the dashboard and the roof of the car, groaning in pain. Crew, crew, crew. You scratch your scalp as you try to remember your lessons in first aid. Question. Identify any 4 instances of onomatopoeia in the passage. Onomatopoeia, of course, is a word that suggests sound, or sound is suggested through the word. Screeching, sound made by the the braking tires. Screams, bang, crash, groaning, and of course a scratch. And for each of the following 5 words, write another word that is pronounced the same. Past, past, right there. Aren't, 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 and aren't. Whole, we've got all. What and what, male and male. For each of the following letters, provide a word in which the letter is silent. P. Psychology, receipt, psalms, and coup. B. Debt, climb, dam, come, and doubt. L. Come, palm, bum, and chalk. Hymn, condemn, and solemn. Listen, soften, moisten, and ballad. E. Your school choir is rehearsing a choral verse for the school's music festival. They are making a presentation for the rest of the school so as to get some feedback. Give 4 things that the listeners need to pay attention to and explain why. Again, your school choir is rehearsing a choral. This is a performance question. Your school choir is rehearsing a choral verse for the school's music festival. They are making a presentation for the rest of the school so as to get some feedback. Give 4 things that the listeners need to pay attention to and explain why. 1. Proper or clear pronunciation of words. They need to pay attention to that, or you need to pay attention to that part there. 2. The right volume or proper voice. 3. The correct tone of voice, variation of voice, the right gesture accompanying the performance for objective communication, proper voice blending to enhance the musicality, posture. The correct posture gives the feeling of confidence, eye contact for effective communication. The correct tempo or the pace being too fast might hinder eye communication. Good students, that also marks the end of this particular part. It is part 4. In that particular order of procession and how we've been doing our work, it means that we've made some good uploads, some good number of uploads out there, and you might as well as want to check on them. And finally, I would like to recommend or request that you support this work, kindly support this work by subscribing. And by subscribing, you're not only supporting this work, it means that you're putting yourself in a position for the future updates. You wouldn't want to be left out, even as you're looking for this particular small eve before you get back to your exams. And then sharing it with your good friends, because just like the way you came across this work, either accidentally or a friend of yours referred to you to this work, refer it also to other friends whom you know that this work would be of value. And above all, I want to wish you the best in your endeavors. Good day.